Om Brahmanandam Paramasukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamatsyaadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalam Achalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Triguna-rahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru-paramparam Shruti-smriti-purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat-pada Shankaram Loka-shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha. Om Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om, everybody. I hope you had a restful long weekend. Thanksgiving, we have a lot to be thankful for, even in these times of COVID. And yeah, for the technology, for Zoom, for most importantly. Anyway, we are on this beautiful text, Vivekachudamani, where Bhagwan, the portion that we've seen so far, Bhagwan says that karma can in no way give liberation. Karma is incapable of giving liberation. And he asks us to give up karma, which should not be misunderstood as physically giving up any karma. But what it means is that we need to give up the doership behind the actions that we do. And by doership, we mean the notion that I am the one that is doing this and I am the one that I enjoy. That I, which Gurudev would call it as a small I or ego, that is what needs to be renounced, not the action itself. Question then arises is if action can, and he enumerated a number of tirthayatra and yajnas and japas and puja and this and that. He's enumerated quite a few actions. But the question arises, if action cannot give me liberation, then what will? So Bhagwan says, samyak vichara. Samyak vichara means correct thinking is what will give us. Correct understanding is what will give us liberation. And to have that correct understanding, obviously there has to be certain qualification. We have to be qualified to understand the principles of Vedanta or the principles of liberation, or to understand what liberation actually is. So we need, for every little thing, a qualification is required. Even just the thought, like even in kindergarten, they said the child has to be diaper trained. So that's a qualification to be toilet trained rather. So every little thing has a qualification. Now this is we are going in for samyak vichara. So we are going in for correct understanding. We are going in to change our understanding as per the scriptures. So obviously there has to be some prerequisites that we need to fulfill. And if I have my bookmark on verse 17, am I correct? Correct, right? Okay. Did we read this or did we not read this? Or did I,
Yes.
okay, I'm going to read it.
Yeah.
Was it read?
We had read it, but we didn't spend too much time on it.
Okay, all right. I'll just read it once again, just for, because there has been a gap. Vivekino viraktasya shamadi gunashalinaha mumukshoreva hi brahma jidnyasa yogyata mata. He alone is considered qualified to inquire after the supreme reality, who has discrimination, detachment, qualities of calmness, etc., and a burning desire for liberation. So there are 4 qualities that Bhagwan has enumerated. First one starts with Viveka. All these will be in detail, Bhagwan himself will tell. So I'm just going to just explain briefly, because we will go into details of each one of them as we go further. Viveka is the first one. Viveka is discrimination. It is an understanding. It is not an action of any kind. It is an understanding to distinguish between 2 things. And the simplest is, if there is lentil and rice mixed and I'm asked to separate it, very, very easy, because lentil is yellow, dal is yellow, rice is white. Separation is very easy. That also is Viveka, by the way. That also is, which one is dal and which one is rice, is Viveka. But then as we go higher, as the highest is if I'm asked to separate milk and water. Now that becomes extremely difficult. So there are these levels of Viveka. And the first in spiritual studies, the first discrimination that we start with is Shreya Preya Vivek, which has been enumerated in Kathopanishad. So Shreya Preya, Shreya is what is good for me, Shreya, Shreyas, it is Shreyas. Nishreyas is one word that is used for the supreme reality. So Shreyas is that which will lead me to Nishreyas, good, that is good. And then there is prayer. Prayer is like Priya, which is very pleasing to my senses. So a discrimination has to happen between that. That is the first type of discrimination that a student, that a seeker who is aspiring for this, attaining this supreme reality, should be going for. To know what is actually good for me as opposed to what is pleasing to my senses. So very common examples is like, okay, if getting up in the morning and going for a walk, exercise is good for me, but then my senses tell me, oh, it's raining, let me just curl up in bed and sleep. That'll become prayer. Getting up and going against, against the weather conditions would be, it's good for me, but then I choose prayer. So that is the sort of discrimination that we need to start developing. Something, Shreya Prayer, one thing is something which your vasanas are telling you to go against the flow of vasanas would be Shreya, would be good. Because your vasanas are telling you to sleep in. Whereas if you choose to go against them and get up and go for a walk in spite of the weather, then that would be good for you. That is something which is good for you. So Shreya Prayer Vivek. Then there is Ansha Anshi Vivek. Ansha Anshi Vivek is part and whole. Ansha is a part and Anshi is the whole. So in this whole and part discrimination that we have to have is that no part of our life should we make it the whole. Whether it is our job, whether it is our family, whether it is our spouse, whether it is our children, whether it is our grandchildren, none of these are all pieces of the puzzle. So it is one piece is my job, one piece is my spouse, one piece is my children, my grandchildren, my friends is one piece. If you start making just one piece into the whole, if that piece is lost for something, your whole life will be lost. So we have to have an understanding of what is partial and what is full. I remember an example, if you look at an Indian meal, a proper Indian meal, um, there will be on the left hand side, there'll be a little bit salt. We used to put salt on the side of the plate. I don't know how you guys did it. As children, we would, then there'll be the little pickle, then there'll be the little chutney, and then there'll be the little raita, then there'll be some sabzi, then there'll be some dal, and then you go like this. And then in between, there'll be the roti and rice and whatever. So, because I was very fond of movies, one day one of my uncle said to me, he said, this is how the meal should be. Little salt, little pickle, little, and then little sabzi and this and this. He said, your whole life is only movies, pickle. Just one aspect of that meal has become your whole life, because you think movies is if I don't see a movie, then life is not worth living. So that is what the discrimination we have to have, that everything in our life is a part of the whole. What I can make whole is only God, because God is only permanent. Everything else is impermanent in this world. So that is another Vivek that we should have. Aushi. Then there is sadhana sadhya Vivek. So there is a means and there is a goal. Right now, what we do is we go to God and we say, I want this, this is my wish list. So what we have done is we have made God the means and the world the goal. Because I want money, I want a job, I want a child, I want to get married, I want a house, car, whatever it is. So that thinking now has to be reversed. That's why Samyak Vichar, Bhagwan has said. Samyak, so we need to think, is God the means? Do I want to make God the means to get these worldly, impermanent pleasures? Impermanent. Anything in the world, anything that belongs to the world is impermanent. Or should I actually use these impermanent things in a way that I can reach the permanent? So that is what becomes sadhana sadhya Vivek. What is the means? What is the goal? We have to understand it correctly before even we try for it. Otherwise, we don't even know this, right? That is how we grew up. We say, oh God, please give me, I didn't study, but let me pass. All kinds of things at least I have. Anyway, so what needs to be asked also, we have to be told. We didn't know that time, right? So these are some, the highest then Vivek, which he will talk about himself, is Sat Asat Vivek, to know what is really real and what is impermanent. So the discrimination between permanent and impermanent. So that is the highest, but suddenly we cannot reach that highest. We have to start at Shreya Prayer. I have to know that attending these classes or studying the scriptures is good for me. It may not be necessarily pleasing to my senses, but this is good for me, good for my soul, chicken soup for the soul, that sort of thing. So that discrimination, we have to have the initial discrimination. And then we get on the path. And then as we study more and more, then that discrimination will become sharper and sharper. Virakti is vairagya, comes from vairagya. So dispassion is not hating anything. It is going beyond likes and dislikes. That is what it is. So whether an object, and by object I include situation and people. Okay, so object, situation, people. All I will just use the one word, object. So whether a particular object is there or it's not there must not affect my mind as much. Like I told you, if I didn't see a movie which released on Friday, if I didn't see it on Saturday, I thought my life was over. Now that is not dispassion. That should not happen with anything, not just movies, with anything. It should not happen. That is what dispassion is. There is a Balvihar story which we tell for this Vairagya. So there was, some of you, of course, I'm sure have heard it from me, but I'm hoping there'll be some others who haven't. So I'm telling you this again. There was a king who went into the forest for hunting, and then he saw this Mahatma doing satsang in the forest, living in a small kutia, small hut, eating just the fruits and the, whatever from the trees, and he was very impressed. So he thought, oh, this Mahatma is so dispassionate, I should invite him to my kingdom, to my capital, and then he can do satsang for my people, they're my subjects, so it'll be nice. So he goes to the Mahatma and he says, will you come and stay in my palace? And then if you can do the same thing that you're doing here to give knowledge to my subjects. And the Mahatma says, sure, why not? So when he comes, the king is very generous. He gives his own suite, his own room, his own bedroom to the Mahatma. And he thinks, I should be really dispassionate like this Mahatma. So I should, so in his royal gardens, he has a little kutia built and he stays there, the king. And the Mahatma is now in the king's palace, in the king's chambers. And obviously the seats are silk sheets, satin sheets. And then he's getting served in silver thalis. And then he's getting chapan bhog, 56 different kinds of uh, things served to him, just like the king was eating. And the king says, I should be very dispassionate. So I should only eat fruits from my garden and, all that. So the king is now surviving on fruits and whatever from the garden. And the Mahatma is staying in the palace. He's being served. He's doing his satsang every day. He does his satsang, he talks to people, etc., etc. And 6 months go by. And then one day, the king obviously is observing the Mahatma, and the king thinks one day a thought comes into his mind that, oh, gee, I thought this Mahatma was very, very dispassionate. But you know what? I think I am more dispassionate than him, because I am staying in the hut and I am only eating fruits and vegetables, and he's eating all these sweets and all this, and sleeping on satin sheets and eating in silver thali. I'm eating in a simple thali, etc., etc. So the next day, the Mahatma, being a real Mahatma, he was a real Mahatma, so he understood what the king was thinking, and he said to the king, why don't you and I go for a walk? So the king says, sure, why not? So they both go for a walk, and they go up to the boundary of the kingdom, the limits. And right at that point, the Mahatma says, okay, king, let's go to Kashi now. Suddenly the king is shocked. He says, how can I go to Kashi? I've got my wife, I've got my children, I've got my subjects, I've got my kingdom that I have to, look after, etc., etc. I can't suddenly just leave and go. The Mahatma says, that's fine then. Bye-bye. I am going to Kashi. And he walks 10 steps and he turns around and he says, O king, this is what Vairagya is. And he walks away. So Vairagya, understand, it is a state of mind. It is not what you're doing externally. Externally, you might be staying in if you're destined to have a big house, a big car, fine, that's fine. But in your mind, are you attached to that? That's why, the house is called Grah. Grahastha is staying. That's the word. Grahastha is there, right? The word, the householder. Householder means one who holds on to the house. And holding on to the house is not a physical holding on, it's a mental holding on. And that mental holding on has to be controlled. And that is what Vairagya is. It's a state of mind. It is not what you see on the outside. So the Mahatma, who was truly a dispassionate, he was a great person, wise person. When he stayed in the forest, fine, no problem. He was dispassionate. And the king said, okay, you stay here. He said, okay, fine, no problem. So whatever we get, accept it. So whatever comes, there's no need to be very elated in joy, and then there is no need to be that much depressed in sorrow either. So you remain on an even keel with Vairagya. Okay, so don't think that Vairagya is hate. If you hate something and you say, oh, I'm very dispassionate towards this whatever fruit or whatever, hatred is not dispassion. Hatred is not dispassion. Liking is not going. So if there is, it is like, when you go to a temple and they give you prasad, and maybe that prasad you don't like, but what you say, oh, it's prasad, it's God's prasad. So now you take it and you eat it. Because then you're going above likes and dislikes. With dispassion, you go above likes and dislikes. And that is what the meaning of dispassion is. Okay? In your day-to-day terms, transactional world. We will see, Bhagwan will explain what it means in spiritual terms. But here, this is what. So we live in the house, but we don't get attached to it. Because understand it to be impermanent. So, and that understanding comes from Viveka. So when that understanding comes, dispassion is the firmer the understanding that this is impermanent, the more vairagya will be there. You will not be holding on to something which is impermanent. The reason that people are afraid of death is because they are holding on to the body, which is the house, which is our house. We are that supreme reality and we are housed in this body. That's what the householder means, not even the physical. There is one physical house that we are attached to, forget that. But we are attached to our own body. And that is what creates the fear of death. Because I think I'm the body. So if the Vivek is strong, dispassion will be strong, fear will be less. So more the fear, no, there is less dispassion and even less discrimination. There is absolutely no discrimination. We think we are very intelligent. We think I'm very discriminate, but then I have fear. That is opposite. That can't be. It can't be. Dispassion and fear cannot go together. Dispassion will make you fearless. So if there is fear, there is no dispassion. Somebody said something?
Quick question.
Yeah.
If you find God, attachment to him is also attachment?
Can you ever find God? Can you find him? This is, I found my water. Can you find God like that?
No, my question is deeper than that.
Okay, so what is your question? Because
my question is, can you also be attached to God?
Can you be attached? Okay, what is God then? In your definition, what is God? Is it a form? Yeah, then idol, yeah, if I have a gold idol and I'm attached and I'm saying that is God, then what is the definition of God? What is the definition of God as per you?
The definition of God is a feeling towards an entity which I have not seen, but I know that I can connect to him anytime I want. So what my question really is that, can I be detached from that feeling?
What is actually God is you yourself. God is not a feeling that, you know, you can attach to at any time, because God is all pervasive and everywhere. So it is not, I can, you know, there's a cup of water here. I can attach to it at any time I want. God is not like that. It is not a feeling, oh, I feel thirsty. I can attach to the water. That is not God. God is me, myself. How do I get attached to? It's me. It's not mine. It is me. If you have that firm understanding, then how can you find God? You are God. Where is there to find God? You cannot find quote unquote God. You cannot. There is no God that can be found, because found is a verb. It's falling under karma. And we have already said that karma cannot give you God.
Okay, thank you.
So Virakti, then Shama Adi. This is the Shat Sampati that Bhagwan is talking. He'll be talking each one. I'll just tell you what they are. There is Shama, Dhamma. Shama is control of the senses. Dhamma is control of the mind. Or is it Shama? Or Dhamma is control of the senses. Shama is control of the mind. Shama, Dhamma, Titiksha. Shama, Dhamma, Titiksha. Samadhan, Shraddha, Uparamati. So Shama, Dhamma, Uparati, Titiksha, Samadhan, and then Shraddha. These are the 6. Okay, so there is control of the senses, control of the mind. Uparati is a withdrawal, and we'll see what it is, because Bhagwan is going to be talking about all this, so I don't want to go into details. So Uparati is a withdrawal. Titiksha is patience, forbearance, to bear everything that comes my way, Titiksha. And then Samadhan is contentment, content in whatever that I have. So we'll talk about contentment also in detail. And then Shraddha, faith, extremely important is to have faith. So the first thing that we have to have faith in is that there is a God. Otherwise, there is no question of seeking him, who he is, what he is. if I don't even believe that there is a God, or if I think, that God is, I can find God, then that is wrong. You cannot find God. So Shraddha, faith in the word of the scriptures, because first of all, faith in God, and then who will tell me about God is the scriptures and scriptures alone. So there has to be faith in the scriptures. Then who will tell me about the scriptures is the teacher, is the guru. So I have to have faith in the guru's words. So when the guru says that you cannot find God, then you have to have complete faith that no, I cannot find God, period. End of story. Story is ended there. There's no going further. So faith in the guru. Then faith in the means. If the guru tells you that this is the means, and this is what Bhagwan Shankaracharya is going to tell us in this, what is the means? How do I become even fit? How do I become qualified to search for that supreme reality? Then I have to have faith in the means. If we look at Shabri's life, Shabri was told by Matang Rishi when she was a very young girl that Sri Ram is going to come this way. You just stay here. If she did not have faith in the guru, years and years, she became old waiting for Ram. Don't think that he just suddenly showed up next day. No. Every day she waited and waited and waited for years, and then he showed up. And that is what shows faith in the words of the guru. Because why? Because Matang Rishi had said, you stay here. I am going with my disciples. He left. You stay. Ram is going to come. So that was the faith that she had. So faith in the words of the guru. And finally, there has to be faith in your own self that I can do this. Because this is a very difficult path. Don't think it's that easy. So you have to have self-confidence, not arrogance, but self-confidence in the sense, if I have developed titiksha, if I have patience, I should have the faith that I have the patience. I want to walk this path. And I definitely, this is what is good for me. So that's why that Vivek comes in there. This is what is good for me. So I want to do this. So if some difficulties come in my way, some obstacles come in my way, I will overcome them. So that's why faith becomes extremely important in this path. And then mumukshutvam is, you have to have desire to find that God, if at all. If there is no desire, then where is the point of doing all this exercise? So Swami Vivekananda apparently was walking with one of his friends or disciples, whatever, along the Ganges. And Swami Vivekananda apparently was a very big, strong man. And this person asked him, he says, you say mumukshutvam, burning desire for liberation, burning desire. What is a burning desire? Was the question. So Swami Vivekananda took the person and shoved him inside the water of the Ganges, of the river, and held him there for a few minutes, and then brought him out. And he said, how desperate were you for air when you were under the water? He said, oh my God, it was a burning. I said, so okay, that is the burning desire. Like you had for air underwater, that sort of desire you must have for this knowledge, and then you will get it. Mumukshutvam is the burning desire. It is not just desire for liberation. It is a burning desire for liberation, that is where we lack. What we want to do is we want liberation, but we can't let go of the world either. It's like, chocolate is there, but I don't want to remove the wrapper. Oh, the wrapper is so beautiful. So I'm eating chocolate with the wrapper. That's what I want to do. I don't want to peel the banana, I want to eat the peel and banana together. That's what I want to do. I want mumukshutva. I want liberation. I want freedom from sorrows. If I ask any one of you, do you want freedom from sorrow? Is any one of you going to say, no, my miserable life, I love it. My sorrowful life, I just love it. I want to be here only. Nobody will say that. Okay, are you ready to give? Oh, but world, oh, family, that is what gives me happiness. That I'm not willing. So I don't want to give up the wrapper, but I want the chocolate. You cannot have both. So he Brahma Jidnyasa Yogyata Mata. So for Brahma Jidnyasa, for seeking this Brahman, these are the 4 qualifications required. Vivek, Vairagya, Shat Sampati, and Shat Sampati I told you the 6, and then Mumukshutvam. And each one will be dealt with in its own, in time. The 4 qualifications are now being dealt with. These are the qualifications. Sadhananyatra chatvari kathitani manishibihi yeshu satsveva sannishtha yadbhavena siddhyati. Great sages have spoken of 4 qualifications for attainment, which when present succeed in the realization of Brahman, and in the absence of which the goal is not gained. Now here also note the point that Bhagwan Shankaracharya himself was such a great spiritual master. In spite of that, he says, great sages have spoken. Humility. Humility. It's not like, okay, I'm telling you, this is what it is. He could have said it. He was a realized master. He was realized at age 8. He could have said it, but yet the humility. Same thing we find in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagwan himself has never said, I'm saying. He just says, it's my opinion. There are 2 things Bhagwan uses, 2 types of phrases. One is mata, me mataha, means what? It's my opinion. And the other thing he says, wise men have said, great people have said, great sages have said. Like that only he has given the teaching to Arjuna. That somebody else has said it. So, automatically that ego, this is how we negate the ego, neutralize it by not taking credit. I thought of it. No, this is what has happened. In Bhagavad Puran, when the questions are asked, the Guru always says, don't worry. The Guru, when he answers, in Bhagavad Puran also is like question answer sessions. He says, this question, so-and-so had asked so-and-so, and that so-and-so replied in this way, so I am telling you. So that indicates the humility of the teacher. He says, I am taking the answer from what so-and-so said to such and such disciple. And for the questioner, there are 2 aspects there. One aspect is, if the questioner, if the person who is questioning has got the arrogance that I thought of this question, then automatically he's told that this question was already asked by somebody else. So please do not have the arrogance that you thought you're the original question, that there was already this question that was asked. Or if the person could be genuinely embarrassed, oh my God, what a silly, sometimes we say that, this question, oh, it's a silly question, but can I ask it? So if he is genuinely embarrassed like that, then to tell him, don't be embarrassed, don't think this question is silly, because so-and-so asked it to so-and-so. So there's 3 aspects that are automatically woven in that answer. When the Guru says, so-and-so asked so-and-so, and that so-and-so replied like this, so that answer I will tell you now. All 3 are included like that. So here, this Bhagwan Shankaracharya, by saying, great sages have spoken. So this has been going on. It's not something new. Bhagavad Gita also we see in chapter 4, Bhagwan says, I gave this knowledge to Lord Sun, and then he gave it to the kings. And so to tell us, or to tell Arjuna over there, or to tell us that this is not something new that I'm telling you. This has been there from way back. It's been going on. And so these are the 4. And these 4 qualifications are definitely required if you want to be a seeker of the truth, if you want to gain that truth. Without these, it will not be possible. This is what is being said. Okay? But we need not fear. Please do not have fear as we go on studying. And if the studies are making an effect on our life, these qualities will automatically develop. Please understand that by being in the mission, by attending these classes, already we have shown Viveka of Shreya prayer. It's Friday, of course, now because of COVID, nobody can go anywhere. I should see when COVID disappears, if on a Friday night, how many people show up, then it'll be real Shreya prayer Vivek. Now nobody can go anywhere. Anyway, we'll worry about it when it comes. So we have already chosen the good. We have chosen the good. So don't think that, oh my God, how can I do this? No, all of us can do it. So no worries. Okay, we are all in the same boat. Now, next, so that's what Bhagwan says there. Adau nitya vastuhu viveka pariga. No. Adau nitya nitya vastu viveka pariganyate iha mutra phala bhoga viragastadanantaram shamadhi shatakas sampattihi mumukshutvamiti sputam. While enumerating the qualifications, so Adau is first. First, we count the ability to discriminate between the real and the unreal. Next comes a spirit of detachment from the enjoyment of the fruits of actions here and hereafter. After that is the groups of 6 essentials such as Shama. And last is undoubtedly a burning desire for liberation. So now here he's giving the meaning of the word Viveka. So the highest Viveka is the discrimination between the real and the unreal. And when we say real and unreal, real means what is really real. And the definition of real here is that which does not change in the 3 periods of time. Okay, so if we take this definition, and then if you start thinking of anything in this world, including your own body, your own mind, your own intellect, you will know that none of this fits that definition. The world, it's changing every minute to minute, every day, right? Your own body, has it not changed? Your own mind, has it not changed? So intellect has changed, health has changed, you know, age, hair, everything has changed. So in the chart, Gurudev's chart, Om is the only thing which is real. There is Om and then V Vasanas and then BMI, the BMI chart. So everything under the V Vasanas changes. So it's unreal. So there is only one real thing in this entire world. In this entire cosmos, there is only one real thing which does not change. And if I were to give you our own example, see in the waking state, then there is the dream state and the deep sleep state. We have these 3 states that is our own personal experience. So the one in the waking state, the deep sleep state and the dream state are negated. Right now we are awake. Dream and deep sleep is not there. In dream, the other 2 get negated, and in deep sleep, waking and dream get negated. But there is an entity which is flowing through all these 3, because of which I have memory. Don't I have memory of what happened yesterday? Don't I have memory that I slept well last night? I dreamt last night. I did not dream last night. I did not sleep well last night. So that entity is what is real. And all these 3 states are what is unreal because they change. Okay? So real and unreal. Then Nitya Anitya Vastu Viveka. This is the definition of Viveka. But like I told you, there are many other discriminations below that. And if we follow those, if we start even with Shreya prayer, there will be a day when we will reach there. We must not think that, oh, but I don't have discrimination between real and unreal and I should not study. Okay? No, you should actually study so that you come to know what is real and what is unreal. So studies is imperative. We should not make this into an excuse, but I don't have Viveka, I don't have Vairagya, so I shouldn't be attending class. That is wrong thinking, incorrect thinking. Then Iha Amutra Phala Bhoga. Iha means here. So, and Amutra is hereafter. So heavens. The 7 worlds, there are 14 worlds as scriptures tell us, 7 above us, above earth is in the middle. Above there are 7 and below there are 7. So dispassion should be, see, dispassion sometimes comes for things in this world. But then there are many people, and example is Nachiketas' father, who these people, they don't consider themselves to be the body, which is actually they're one step ahead of those who consider themselves to be the body. They say that, okay, this body is not permanent, I understand it, but they think that their jiva, they will go to heavens afterwards. Okay, so that is Amutra. Amutra is heavens. Amutra is not liberation. So the world's here means this world in which I am existing right now, and the world is existing. So attraction towards things of this world, but it also must include no attraction for something other. So this amutra that is given, amutra for phala bhoga experience, phala fruits. So these experiences, I should have dispassion towards the experiences of this world, but I must also not think that I would like to go to the heavens and enjoy there. So it's both this world and the world after this, which obviously heaven, nobody is going to want to go into lower domains. In Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says that dispassion, when you get dispassion for things you have heard and yet to hear, he said, because we think that we have dispassion, we think, but we don't know what is still going to come in the future and what will, break that dispassion of ours. There is a story of a disciple asking his guru, saying, "Oh Guru, are you dispassionate?" And the guru said, "Come after 2 years and I will tell you." So after 2 years, he goes back and he says, "Guru, are you dispassionate?" And the guru says, "No, some more time you give me to answer this question." No means not that I'm not dispassionate, but give me 2 more years. And one day the disciple gets a message that the guru has called you to see him right away. So the disciple goes to the guru and the guru says, "You had asked me a question, whether I have dispassion or not. I want to tell you that yes, I do have dispassion." And he dies. Right there and then he dies. And the reason that the guru was saying is because of what Bhagavan says in Bhagavad Gita, that yes, I have dispassion for all the things about which I have heard so far or seen so far or read so far. I feel dispassionate, but I don't know what else I'm going to hear. I don't know what other thing is going to come my way. So dispassion becomes very tricky. We cannot say that I am dispassionate completely. And most of us are dispassionate towards quite a few things actually. The example is, you walk into a mall, it's not like every single object you want. You're just new, it just doesn't even bother you that those things are there. So we are dispassionate, okay? But then there are some things, there are many things about which we do not have dispassion. And that dispassion will stay only when there is viveka. Only when there is only when I know that this is not good for me, dispassion will arise. And once I am firmly established in the fact that this is not good for me, there is no way that that dispassion will shake. It's like one of our Swamijis had, told us this. She went for Bhiksha to some house, and she's a Gujarati, and they had made her favorite kheer. I forget the name what Gujaratis call. Anyway, it's a payasam. For South Indians, payasam. It's for Marathi people, it's kheer. Anyway, so she was very happy. The host knew that Swamini likes this kheer, and it was made, and she was very happy about it. In Bhiksha, she's getting her favorite dish. Then there was a little kid in that house. So that kid came and he said, "Swamiji, can I tell you something?" She said, yeah, sure. So this is a big secret. She says, yeah, tell me the secret. I saw a lizard fall into that kheer. Complete dispassion, immediate, complete. No way was Swami going to touch that kheer, right? Knowledge, firm knowledge that this is not good for me will give you immediate dispassion. Problem is, we don't get firm knowledge. We get caught in the word. Even though I get bitten once, I think, no, next time this will be good. Next time I'll be happy. Next time. So that is where. So when Viveka is firm, Vairagya also will be firm. There is also one form of Vairagya called Smashan Vairagya. Smashan Vairagya is, suddenly some very sorrowful thing happens, some near and dear ones, something happens, they die. Then suddenly we become very dispassionate. Oh, you know what? This world is full of sorrow. I don't want this anymore. But as time passes, it fades. it fades. So that is dispassion arising out of one single incident. That dispassion is no good unless it stays with you, but very rarely. The dispassion which comes out of knowledge will be very firm and it will stay with you. Okay, otherwise we don't get dispassion. We see so much suffering also, but we don't get dispassion. It's very difficult. So iha amutra phala bhoga viraga is vairagya. Vairagya is dispassion for pleasures of this world as well as the world afterwards. And then shamadhi shataka. So I've already told you shama, dama, uparati, titiksha, samadhan, shraddha, and shama, dama, uparati, titiksha, shraddha, and samadhan. 6. And I told you all those, right? Control of the senses, control of the mind. Why? The control of the senses and the mind is very important because when the senses are running out into the world and the mind is running behind them, you can never focus on the inside. That's why I told you God is inside. We need to become introverted, and a pure mind is a controlled mind. A mind which is not under our control, which is running outside helter-skelter, can never become single-pointed within, inside. That is the reason for the shama and dhamma. Okay, and that's why patience is required with the mind. Mind is like a monkey, it keeps jumping. So we need a lot of patience to tame. The mind has to be tamed like a monkey, you know, like they tame animals. We have to tame our mind. We have to train our mind. We have to tell our mind what is good and what is pleasing, and that no, don't go after this. And that's why that 80-20 rule should be followed. Like in diet, we eat healthy 80%, 20%. So mind also has to be taught in that way, that for 80% of the time, you know, let's be good. And then maybe once in a while we'll sleep in, or we'll play hooky, we won't, you know, exercise, or we'll eat some ice cream, that sort of thing. So you train the mind like that, slowly. That's why Gurudev has written the book, hasten slowly. Hasten, but then take it one day at a time as well. So that is the sampati. The sampati wealth is internal wealth. See, there is wealth when we say, we think of money, that is external wealth. But these are virtues of the mind. This is what is needed. For spiritual seekers, we don't need external wealth. That's why Gurudev has made all this training free, right? The classes and all always free, right? So we don't need that much, as long as there is enough to have food on the plate, okay? If the person doesn't have, I've said this in one of my other classes, if the person cannot afford 2 meals a day, he must not be coming for Vedanta classes. That is the minimum, that is a minimum requirement. 2 meals a day, shelter over your head, that is important, very important. And if he doesn't have that, then we need to tell him to go into karma and get that first before he comes into Vedanta. And then mumukshutvam, burning desire, which I've already explained. Okay. Brahma satyam jagat mithya itteva rupo vinishchayah soyam nitya nitya vastu viveka samudarutah. A firm conviction of the intellect that Brahman alone is real and the phenomenal world is unreal is known as discrimination between the real and the unreal. This is what I explained to you already. This is what Bhagwan is now explaining, that we must have the discrimination that what is unchanging, what is really real is only one. There is only one. There's not many realities out there. These other impermanent things are many. Therefore, even in Bhagavad Gita in chapter 2, Bhagavan says that if your mind goes outside, vyavasayatmika buddhi, if your mind goes outside, there are many paths. Even in spirit, you know, we heard in the yajna also, there is karma yoga, there is bhakti yoga, there is jnana yoga, there is hatha yoga, there is this, that, even like what, hot yoga and cold yoga, God knows how many. So when you go out, there is no end to learning. That's the thing. You learn one subject, there are so many other subjects that you don't know. So and then you think, okay, you've mastered this one subject, then something new will come in that same subject. So ultimately you cannot master it at all. Whereas there Bhagwan says, if you go inside, there is only one goal. So you are going to reach it. There is not many paths inside. Outside there are many paths. Inside there is only one. So the real is only one. So you just go single pointedly after that, you will get it. You go after the unreal, it's impossible to get the unreal. Why? Because it is unreal in the first place. Gurudev gives the example of, trying to hold the fog in your fist. There is a mist or there is fog. You're walking through the fog. Vancouver, fog is very common. Now you want to try and hold that. Impossible. Impossible. That is what is happening when we are trying to hold on to the world. And no matter how tight we hold on, it'll slip through our fingers like sand. But you hold on to God, it is not going to slip. God is not going to slip because you are God. How do you slip from yourself? You can't. So that's the Viveka, that firm conviction that there is only that one reality, and that is what I want. Of course, there might be people who say, yeah, I agreed, that's one reality, but I don't want it. Okay, then that's fine. If you don't want it, then you go run after the world. You can't help that. Okay. Tadvairagyam jihasaya darshana shravanadibihi dehadi brahma paryante yanitye bhogavastuni. That desire, tad vairagyam, tad is referring to the previous verse. So the firm discrimination between real and unreal. Then tad vairagyam means what is unreal, not real. Tad vairagyam is referring to that which is unreal, which I told you in the previous verse. That desire to give up all transitory enjoyments gained through seeing, hearing, etc., and also experiences gained through equipments ranging from a mortal body to the form of Brahma is called detachment. So detachment is from the unreal. There should not be any detachment from the real. There cannot be a detachment from the real because you are the one that is real. How do you detach from yourself? You can't. But we don't know that. Problem is, we don't know. I think I'm the body, so I'm holding on to the body. So that's how all these transitory enjoy gained through seeing, hearing. Seeing, hearing means what? Sense organs. So I told you Shreya, Preya, Vivek. Preya is that which is coming to us through the sense objects, sense organs. So my eyes see color and form, they become happy, mind becomes happy, nose smells something nice, ears hear some good music or whatever, becomes happy. So whatever is gained through the senses, we think it is happiness, but actually it is only pleasure. It is like, you put your finger in the socket. There is an electrical outlet socket and you get a shock. So this sense organ, when it comes in contact with the sense object, it's like putting your finger in that electric socket. And then there is a little bit of, and I think, oh, I'm so happy. I saw a movie. I saw good clothes. I have good clothes. And then I become very happy. But it is only pleasure because it is dependent. Understand that whatever is coming in through the senses is a dependent happiness. If I'm very fond of good music, if I go deaf, that music is no good to me. If I go blind, that color and form is no good to me. It will not give me happiness anymore. So it's a dependent happiness, and because it is dependent, it is impermanent. The object itself is impermanent, and then that object which gives me pleasure today necessarily will not give me pleasure tomorrow. And that is our experience. That's why we have garage sales. That's why we have value village. You don't want anything, you give it there. Why? If we had everything that we buy, we have liked and bought. It's nothing that we dislike and buy. We like and buy. And then why do we give it to value village then? Why am I doing garage sales? Why am I trying to find people to give things to? Obviously that object is not giving me any happiness anymore. So that's knowing that. So that is knowledge. That is what knowledge is, real knowledge, So that with that knowledge, I become dispassionate. So next time when I think of, this, then Arey Baba, how many things I've had in this. So that sort of dispassion should be coming. And gain to the equipments ranging from a mortal to the form of Brahma. Brahma means people see this Vairagya, what he said, Iha and Amutra. This Amutra includes Brahmalok. There are people who want to go to Brahmalok. But it is a lok. Loka is a field of experience. Okay. Loka in Marathi means people, but loka, that word in Sanskrit, it loosely it is translated as world. So there is heaven, which is a world, but loka is a field of experience. That is what loka is. So there is this Brahma Loka, which is the highest in the worlds, in the hierarchy, it is the highest. So there should be dispassion even for that, because the liberation, the bliss of liberation is even greater than that. So there has to be complete detachment, dispassion towards all that. Okay. Virajya Vishaya Vrata Dosha Drishtya Muhurmuhu Swalakshe Niyatavastha Manasa Shama Uchate. Now the definition of Shama. He finished Viveka. He told us what Viveka was. He told us what Vairagya was. Now he's defining Shama. The peaceful control of the mind, the peaceful state of the mind when it rests constantly upon the contemplation of the goal after having again and again detached itself from the chaos of the sense objects through a process of continuous observation of their defects is called Shama. In Vedanta, in philosophy, there is one word we use, two words, Pratipaksha Bhavana it is called. Pratipaksha Bhavana is to look, is what is Dosha Drishti. Dosha Drishti means what? Trying to find defects in the thing. Actually, what we are used to is we constantly find defects in other people. All those kinds of things we are expert at. He did like this, that one does like that, that one, that one, that one. That Dosha Drishti we are very good at. What Bhagwan is telling us here is that in the objects, in the sense objects, I must find dosha drishti, means what is the pros and cons. So what are the cons of getting this object? I'm running after this object, and what are the cons? That is what pratipaksha bhavana is. What is what is the negative in this running? Because unless I find that negative, unless I understand what the negative is, I will not stop running. Why would I? If I think that this object is going to give me happiness, will I stop running after that object? I will not. I will run. So I have to, before starting to run, at least while running, I should think, oh my God. And one of the things is that why am I doing garage sale? If this, after maybe 1 month, 2 months, 1 year, 2 year, this also object also is going to go in garage sale, or value village is always there, right? So that pratipaksha bhavana should come, and that way the mind will remain peaceful. What is happening is when we see this objects and I think that they give me happiness, that is the wrong thinking, that is delusion, that my happiness is in this object. That's when my mind gets disturbed. If I don't think that my happiness is in this object, my mind will never get disturbed. Why would it get disturbed? Right? It won't. And so this is what Bhagwan is telling us. The peaceful state of mind when it rests constant, and when will that mind become peaceful, is to know that this is my goal and this object is not my goal. And if I run after this object, I'm going to go away from the goal. It's basically like the Olympic athlete who wants the gold medal. I love that example. So when we see these athletes practicing for 4 years, it's every 4 years, now this summer Olympics got postponed. But anyway, that athlete, whatever it is, getting up in the morning, going to whichever sport is that person is in, but he wants the gold, he or she wants that gold medal, they will give up their entire life for those periods of training, right? For the goal. So if the mind is fixed in the goal, that this is what I want for sure, then I will be able to detach from the world easily. Does that make sense? Are there any questions? We will continue with 23 next time. Any questions?
Jayaji, in verse 19.
Yeah.
in the, so it talks about Nitya, Viveka.
Viveka. Mhm.
Is that the same? I mean, is it synonymous with Sat, Viveka?
Yes, absolutely. Because what is Nitya is Satya, really real. And Anitya is impermanent. It is Asat
Okay.
because it changes. Nitya, Anitya is same as Sat, Asat, is same as permanent, impermanent. That which changes. Impermanent is that which changes. That is the simplest definition of it. What do you mean by impermanent? I've lived in this house forever. Or I was born in this house and I'm probably going to die in this house. What do you mean it's impermanent? But hasn't the house changed? Right? You got the roof done, walls are leaking, house has changed. Haven't you changed? Hasn't your body changed? That becomes impermanent. Anything that changes is impermanent. And because it's impermanent, it's mithya. ॐ स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महिं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः ॐ सर्वेषां स्वस्ति भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेव अवशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ओम् श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम्।